Bambi Woods, the young actress who became an icon as Debbie in the original Debbie Does Dallas, famously returned for the 1985 sequel, Debbie Does Dallas Part 3, the final chapter. By that time, the series was already legendary among classic film aficionados. The 1978 debut had been produced and directed by Jim Clark, and it launched Bambi into the spotlight. In Part 3, Clark returned as producer to bring the franchise full circle, while credit for direction went to veteran filmmaker Joseph F. Robertson, using his pseudonym Adele Robbins. This final installment was crafted at a turning point in the industry, capturing the tail end of the golden age of independent cinema with a blend of familiar cheerleader fantasy and behind-the-scenes creativity. The original Debbie Does Dallas, 1978, had been a breakout hit, famous for its bold and playful portrayal of a cheerleader's adventures. Jim Clark, a creative pioneer of his era, both produced and directed that original film. Its success led directly to a sequel in 1981. For Debbie Does Dallas Part 2, Clark handed the reins to director-producer Jim Buckley, who followed a similar storyline. Both films starred Bambi Woods as Debbie Benson, the perky Texas cheerleader with big dreams. Woods' performance in the first film had made her a cult favorite, and she agreed to reprise her role not once, but twice. First in the 1981 sequel, and then in this 1985 final chapter. In fact, Woods' return in 1985 was billed as one last fling for Debbie, signaling a deliberate wrap-up of the series' original continuity. Behind the camera of Part 3 was a creative team bridging old and new. Joseph F. Robertson, credited on screen as Adele Robbins, directed the film. Robertson was no newcomer. He had worked in genre films since the 1960s, including a stint on the cult sci-fi horror The Crawling Hand, and by the 1980s he specialized in adult-themed features under that pseudonym. His choice as director brought an experienced eye to the production. Jim Clark remained involved as producer, maintaining the link to the original. Clark's presence ensured the project had continuity with Debbie's roots, even as a younger generation took over many day-to-day creative roles. The screenplay credit for the final chapter goes to Diane Stevens. Having a credited female writer was relatively uncommon in the industry of the era, suggesting the producers may have been aiming for a slightly fresher sensibility. Stevens crafted a story that followed the series formula. Debbie and her cheerleading friends once again need money to achieve Debbie's goal. Without being explicit, the film's premise again revolves around cheerleader teamwork and lighthearted fundraising. Cinematography was handled by Tom McAdams, a cinematographer known for his work on independent features of the 1980s. McAdams shot the film on 35mm color stock, giving it the warm, grainy look characteristic of mid-1980s productions. The production designer was Reuben Mann, who dressed the sets and created the Texas-themed decor, from cheerleader uniforms to interior gymnasiums, on what was likely a modest budget. On screen, Debbie Does Dallas Part 3 put Bambi Woods back in the lead role of Debbie Benson. Woods was joined by a cast of familiar faces and up-and-comers. Kristara Barrington and Joanna Storm played Debbie's fellow cheerleaders, while Jerry Butler appeared as Michael, Debbie's boyfriend. Notably, Ron Jeremy made a cameo as Coach Bevel. Jeremy was already a well-known personality by 1985, so his appearance would have been a recognizable Easter egg for fans. Kathy Harcourt, credited as Deborah Hardin, and Jay Serling rounded out the cast in supporting roles. The ensemble was deliberately small and tight-knit, reflecting the film's intimate, close-quarters setting, cheer squads preparing for an audition or event. The actual production of the movie was typical of independent features of that era, relatively quick and low budget. Shooting likely took place over only a week or two, using set locations in Los Angeles that could double for Texas gyms or locker rooms. Some interior scenes may have been shot on a soundstage with simple props, while outdoor sequences would have been rare. The crew had to create the illusion of Dallas excitement on a shoestring, relying on playful dialogue and cheeky innuendo rather than overt showmanship, in order to comply with mid-1980s standards. Any brief scenes lifted from unused footage. An urban legend surrounds an unfinished 1980 film called Thundershine, involving Bambi Woods. Though that remains undocumented, were seamlessly edited in to extend Debbie's screen time. In the end, Debbie Does Dallas Part 3 ran about 73 minutes and was released in early 1985, catering to video markets more than mainstream theaters. Stylistically, director Robertson kept things straightforward. The camera work by Tom McAdams was functional and warm, plenty of soft focus shots under bright sets to show off the star and her teammates, while Ruben Mann's set designs established the cheerleader theme without extravagant detail. The soundtrack likely reused stock disco or pop tracks from other features, a common practice of the time. Dialogue was minimal and often improvised. The focus was on playful banter as much as on any actual plot. Indeed, one contemporary reviewer quipped that the movie felt like a bunch of random scenes with voiceover, but to its credit, it maintained the tongue-in-cheek humor that had made the franchise famous, Debbie's crystal-clear Texas accent, the cheerleaders' coded jokes, and the repeated reassurance that, "This is just a movie, folks, don't take it seriously." Behind the scenes, the crew remembered the shoot as a straightforward gig. Joseph Robertson's direction was reportedly efficient. He relied on the cast's familiarity with the genre to keep scenes light. Producer Jim Clark was hands-off in front of the camera but active in post-production decisions, especially editing and marketing choices. The film's provocative title, The Final Chapter, was a savvy publicity move, implying a climax that fans had to see. Diane Stevens's script may have been simple, but it gave the performers some motivation to laugh and flirt as the cameras rolled. The most challenging sequence was likely the group celebratory finale, which required coordinating several actors and extras in a staged apartment setting, all shot tastefully on camera to suggest more than it actually showed. According to surviving cast accounts mentioned in retrospectives, nothing too wild ever happened off-camera. The atmosphere on set was friendly and professional, with the crew proud to be part of a historic series. When Debbie Does Dallas Part 3 finally hit the market, it was presented as a known quantity. Fans of the first two Debbies would recognize exactly what to expect: plentiful cheerleader outfits, a dance rehearsal scene, and exaggerated comedic moments, but with a slightly higher production polish than earlier releases. Contemporary reviews note that the film felt more like an extended sketch than a polished narrative. But it satisfied its audience by delivering everything on the label. Star Bambi Woods back in form, sprightly performances from the supporting cast, and a final sequence that tied up Debbie's journey. It even recycles a few creative jokes from the previous movies. For example, Debbie famously ducks into a phone booth at one point, a wink to the original film's ending. In retrospect, Debbie Does Dallas Part 3. The final chapter stands as a time capsule of mid-80s filmmaking. It was shot just as the industry was shifting to video, and as stricter regulations were looming. Yet the producers and director managed to preserve the retro style of the series, while technically upgrading to color film stock and better sound. Jim Clark's involvement tied it firmly to the franchise's origins, while Robertson's experience ensured it met fans' expectations. The behind-the-scenes crew, from Diane Stevens on script to Tom McAdams behind the camera, had to work quickly and creatively, making every shot count. Decades later, film historians point out that the movie is tame by modern standards. Its legacy is as much about cheeky dialogue and nostalgic fun as anything else. In fact, Debbie Does Dallas Part 3 has even been referenced in pop culture, including a hit 2001 stage musical that nodded to the franchise, confirming that this final chapter still holds an audience hungry for trivia. Today, the story of how Debbie Does Dallas Part 3 was made, from conception to final edit, remains a niche legend. Fans cherish the details, that it was filmed under the retro California sun, that the cinematography stock had a signature warmth, that every cast member was paid a flat rate, and that the crew had precious little time for retakes. In a way, it exemplifies the do-it-yourself spirit of indie cinema in the 1980s. Even without a big Hollywood budget, Jim Clark and his team delivered a self-aware sequel that closed the book on Debbie's cheerleading saga. And despite its risque reputation, the making-of story is as much about determination, collaboration, and showmanship as it is about the content on screen, facts any true fan would recognize as part of this film's enduring mystique.